Worldwide, cardiovascular disease affects the lives of hundreds of millions. Dedicated CardioNerds everywhere are working hard to fight this global epidemic. These are their stories.
Welcome back, CardioNerds. Thanks so much for joining us for this powerful narrative session where we get to hear about the future advancements in the field of structural interventional cardiology from the unique vantage point of Dr. Samir Kapadia. Be sure to stick around for an important message from Dr. Kanny Grewal, the governor of the Ohio ACC State Chapter.
We would like to thank Drs. Katie Berlacher and Nosheen Riza for their mentorship in this Narratives project, as well as Dr. Pamela Douglas for inspiring us to create the Narrative series in the first place.
Hey, CardioNerds, welcome back for a very special discussion today as part of the Pennsylvania ACC CardioNerds Narratives in Cardiology series designed to promote diversity and inclusion in cardiology. Because our differences make us stronger. As you know, for the series, we invite inspiring experts to tell us about their professional areas of passion and their personal journeys. And we have a truly remarkable individual to learn from today. But first, let's set the stage. Here on Air Force CardioNerds, we are homebound to Cleveland to enjoy this beautiful Midwest fall with my co-hosts. And speaking of which, Dan, as we approach the runway at the Cleveland-Burke Lakefront Airport, what's the weather like tonight?
Well, Amit, I have to say it's a beautiful sunny fall day. You could see the wonderful foliage turning brown and wonderful colors as we coast right above Lake Erie with a high of 60 and a low of 49 degrees Fahrenheit. So as we hit the tarmac, let's bring on our amazing co-pilots, Dr. Zarina Sharalaya and Dr. Simrat Kaur. Zarina is a senior interventional cardiology fellow at the Cleveland Clinic. She is a tried and true CardioNerd and has been a leader for the Narratives in Cardiology series. Zarina, welcome back.
Thanks, Dan. It's always such a pleasure to hang out with the nerds. This particular session is such an honor for us, and we get to learn from one of our greatest role models and mentors. But before we get there, I am thrilled to welcome for the first time Dr. Simrat Kaur. She is a first-year general cardiology fellow at Cleveland Clinic. Simrat, thanks so much for joining us. And could you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, CardioNerds. My name is Simrat, originally from Punjab, India, where I spent most of my life before moving to US. I completed my internal medicine training at Cleveland Clinic, and now I'm a newly minted general cardiology fellow at CCF, still navigating my way through several realms of cardiology. Lastly, a very special welcome to Dr. Samir Kapadia, who is the chief of Robert and Suzanne Tomsich Department of Cardiovascular Medicine, Sydell and Arnold Miller Family Heart, Vascular and Thoracic Institute at Cleveland Clinic. That was long. He's among the pioneers of structural interventional cardiology, with special interests in aortic, mitral, and tricuspid valve interventions. Dr. Kapadia, welcome to CardioNerds.
Oh, thank you very much. First of all, I'm so proud and honored to be part of this CardioNerd presentation. And I'm so happy to see Amit and Dan doing this incredible work, and particularly both of you joining, in this incredible meeting. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm very excited, and I'm looking forward to talking to you about this incredible question that you could ask me one by one.
Let's get started. So, Dr. Kapadia, after completing your training with honors from NHL Municipal Medical College in Gujarat, India, you started your journey in the United States as an international medical graduate. You completed your residency in Baylor School of Medicine, where you were awarded Outstanding Resident and eventually pursued training in both general and interventional cardiology at the Cleveland Clinic. Being an international medical graduate myself, I had to face several challenges, which included earning a residency and fellowship training position in the United States, which were quite different from my American colleagues who had graduated from the US. How did you traverse the path as an international graduate with limited opportunities to the chairman of Cleveland Clinic Cardiology?
So first and foremost, I would not say that I had limited opportunities. I think the very important thing for all international medical graduates, and for everybody for that matter, it is important to recognize that the opportunities are what you perceive, is not what others perceive, right? So when you come to United States, I felt that, oh my God, there's so many opportunities. And to be honest with you, nobody in the United States discriminates people. This is one of the only countries, one of the only places where you can be from anywhere and you can enjoy and be proud of a person from a different culture, different place, different perspective. And this was the main thing that, whenever I went to any institution, any place, I was proud of being what I am. And I could enjoy the different opportunities that people could provide me. So in all during the entire journey, I never felt that I was anywhere handicapped or anything like that, even close to that. Second thing is that whenever I came to any institution, when I were to select that what I want to do, the most important thing to me was who are the people that I'm going to work with. So if I connected with people, if I liked them, this was the most important thing for me. So when I interviewed for, say, medicine residency, I came from India and I didn't want to go to the cold places. So I interviewed only in Texas, and that's about it. And Atlanta, to be honest. And so 3-4 places I interviewed. And I loved Dr. Hamill. One of the, Ed Lynch was my program director. He was an ID specialist, but like a fatherly figure. When I met him, I really, really enjoyed it. So I told him that, if I had an opportunity to work with him, I would do it. And that was it. So he said, okay. And I joined Baylor. And the same thing happened to me with Dr. Doug Mann. Doug Mann was young. He just moved from Mass General to VA Hospital in Houston. And he had a lab and he was doing some research. And it was not so important that what research he was doing. So I met him and I liked him. So I said, I want to spend time with you. And so this was another, a great opportunity for me, because to know him, but at the same time, it was the person. I, to be honest, did not care what exactly he was doing. And he was doing some cytoskeleton research, to be honest. And while reading, we wanted to do TNF alpha research. So we did TNF alpha research. And then same way, I met with Dr. Eric Topol. And Dr. Topol, it was really funny because I came to Cleveland. I interviewed with him. He said, Samir, what do you want to do? I said, I love everything. I like echo, cath lab, to be honest. And I said, maybe I'll do echo because this is what is non-invasive and can have a lot of different people affected. I can find it out. He said, sure. He liked me. He says, okay, I will rank, this was the time when there were no emails or no letters or anything. So I called him. I said, Dr. Topol, I'm very interested in after I finish my interviews. So he said, okay, I'll take you. I said, would you mind writing a letter? So he says, why, you don't trust me or something? I said, no, I trust you. I will rank you high. And that's about it. And then I joined Cleveland Clinic and I wanted to do echo. I worked with him. He called me one day and said that, Samir, I'm writing a book. Can you write a book chapter? I said, no expert in cardiology. What book chapter you want me to write? He said, why don't you write about cardiac trauma? I said, my God, cardiac trauma. I have never even seen cardiac trauma. How am I going to write cardiac trauma? He said, no, come on. You can write it. I'll help you. So I went to see Dr. Lytle and said that Dr. Lytle, he's a cardiac surgeon, Cleveland. I said, Dr. Lytle, can you help me to understand a little bit of cardiac trauma? He says, the only trauma that I saw is the one that the cardiologists inflict. This is Cleveland Clinic and we don't have trauma from the emergency room. I said, my God, this is a problem. So I go back to Dr. Topol. I said, Dr. Topol, this is what I got from Dr. Lytle. He said, why did you go to see Dr. Lytle? I said, I don't know. He said, write it. You read and write. So we wrote, and the reason why he wanted me to write is because some surgeon wrote the book chapter. He didn't like it. So the deadline was 1 week. So we wrote the book chapter. And he was the author also. So we finished the book chapter. Ever since everybody thinks I'm the expert of cardiac trauma. So when I went to Seattle, they always called me for all cardiac trauma because I wrote the book chapter. Then first year passed and I applied for I wanted to do echo. So I was the only guy who didn't apply for interventional cardiology. There were 12 of us and 10 applied for intervention. So Dr. Topol called me. He said, Samir, what's wrong? Why didn't you apply for the interventional spot? And there were only 2 spots. So I said, Dr. Topol, I want to do the echo. He said, no, keep that as a hobby and just, you do the cath lab. You will have fun with me. We'll have a great time. Let's join. So I said, but there are 2 spots. All these people want to do it. I know they're my friends. I don't like that, that because I told everybody that I was going to do echo. He said, no, come on. There are 2 spots. You just take one. There is another one. So we will find the other one. And Dr. Ellis was the program director. And Dr. Ellis, he forgot to tell Dr. Ellis. So Dr. Ellis interviews you, for the interventional cardiology. He said, how come you don't have any references? Because I just put the application. He said, where else did you apply? I said, I really didn't apply anywhere else. So he said, this is not a good idea. If you want to do intervention, and what if you don't get it? I said, yeah, that's the problem. So I went to Dr. Topol after the interview. I said, Dr. Topol, Dr. Ellis doesn't even know that I didn't apply anywhere else. He said, no, I'll take care of it. So that was it. I joined Cleveland Clinic, and he's, again, the mentor. So when somebody asks me that what are the reasons for success, is to find the right people, right mentor, right person that trusts you, that looks out for you, that takes care of you, right? Because he has no other interest. He just connects with me. Dr. Tuju, same way, connected with me. I had clinic with him. We are still, till today, I talk to him all the time. And then I wanted to, he said, stay at Cleveland Clinic. Dr. Topol did. And I said that my wife wants to do ophthalmology, and she wants to go to Seattle. So he said, yeah, and no, go to Seattle, but come back in 3 years after she finishes her residency. So this was, and he put it in his calendar that 3 years. So every 1st of June and 1st of January, I get 1st of July and 1st of January, I get an email from him that Samir, 2.5 years left, 2 years left, 1.5 years left. So then 1 year left. So he says, now it's 1 year left. Can you come to, I will come to Seattle. I said, why are you coming to Seattle? He says, no, I spent time with you. I want to find out what you want to do. So I took him to Mount Rainier, Lake Washington. I didn't know, what to do with Dr. Topol, but we had great time. And he sent me a contract next day that, whatever he wrote, I wrote. No interviews, nothing. And he hired me, and I came back to Cleveland. So there was, where the training is, where you train, what is the international medical graduate or whatever graduates, it doesn't really matter as long as you have the best mentors, best friends. And of course, you work hard, and there is no shortcut to that. So there are a lot of smart people, a lot of people who are super nice. But the most important thing, I think, is to be transparent, work hard, and again, to write. If you do something new, try to do something new every day. I try every day. So if you want to do something new, and then write it. So it is fun. You also get stimulated. And so this was the whole story. And same with cath lab directorship. Dr. Ellis said, can you help me? And same with the chairman's job. This was not like my goal or anything close to that. So this was all one after the other, opportunities that came, but at the same time, they were the right opportunities to work with the right people that I loved, that I really trust, I enjoy. So this is how this whole journey comes to the chairman's job right now.
Wow, your journey is so inspirational, Dr. Kapadia. It's clearly marked by important pivots defined by key mentors. What I heard about you on my interview trail last year captures it really well. Dr. Dugman, the ex-chief of Vascular Cardiology, who was also your mentor, mentioned, and I quote, "Pay my regards to my mentee Samir. He has touched more lives and careers than I ever will."
Oh, thank you so much. And he's very dear to me. He used to invite me for all the Thanksgiving and Christmas at his home because, I was alone in Houston because he knows that I was working. One time I faxed him something that, I found some great things in the lab on a Thanksgiving day. So he said, "What are you doing on Thanksgiving? Why are you working?" So then he started inviting me to his house for Thanksgiving to spend with his kids. So he was a great mentor, and he still is.
That's so amazing. Thanks for sharing that, Simrat. And Dr. Kapadia, it's amazing to hear the story about your journey to intervention and how you almost ended up as a cardiac imager, which is crazy to think about you not being the innovator that you are in the cath lab. And also how important it is for everyone to have a mentor, not only to give you advice, but those who recognize your strengths and sort of guide you to the best path accordingly. I think that was an amazing story. So your work in outcomes research has been very meaningful and has changed the direction of cardiology, including some of the partner trials with your work on TAVR in high, intermediate, and low risk surgical groups. You've been an integral part of many of the mitral valve interventions, including MitraClip as part of the COAP trial, which has made its way into guidelines, finally approving it as a treatment strategy for functional mitral regurgitation. Structural cardiology is at a very interesting crossroad with several upcoming device technologies for mitral, tricuspid, interatrial closure, and ventricular restoration procedures. And while we wait and watch for these interventions, we would love to hear your thoughts about future directions for structural interventions, and overall, where do you see the field of structural intervention in the next few years?
Thank you, Zarina. So well put that the structural intervention is growing. If you asked me during my fellowship that I was interested in valves, then we did mitral valvuloplasty. That was the largest volume, and that was 40 cases in Cleveland Clinic per year. So we did 40 mitral valvuloplasties in the whole year in Cleveland Clinic, and that was higher. Some years were 20 to 30. And aortic valvuloplasty, we did from 1990 to 2005, 115 aortic valvuloplasty in Cleveland Clinic. Now we do every year more than 150 valvuloplasties. So structural intervention has changed considerably. There is more than $4 billion investment in all different valve technologies in last 2 years or so. So there is tremendous amount of industry support to make the devices go to the next level. So a lot of investment and a lot of people, a lot of smart people involved in different kinds of technologies. That also makes it possible to do these procedures in a scientifically rigorous way and at the same time report all different learnings that we do. So where do we stand? So if you are a young person, I think the valvular heart disease, so all mitral stenosis, mitral regurgitation, aortic valve, because all these aortic valves that we placed, we did 2,000 in last 3 years at Cleveland Clinic, aortic valve replacement. So all of these people are going to come back. They are going to come back with some kind of aortic valve restenosis. We have to treat them. We will have, we are already doing mitral clips, but we have so many mitral valve replacement technologies that are becoming such. The main problem with the replacement technology is that they are not super safe. But now, with a lot of investment, a lot of effort, they have become safe. They are predictable. So this is another huge step forward in mitral valve replacement. Tricuspid valve, again, replacement is going to be one of the ways to treat tricuspid valve, and that is also becoming a reality. We did the first tricuspid valve replacement in Cleveland Clinic with Navigate valve almost 5 years ago. And at that time, this was considered impossible. And the reason how we came to that was Dr. Navia and I, we were doing some big experiments in China. and doing mitral valve replacement with navigate valve, not tricuspid, mitral. But just as we finished all these experiments, we said, okay, why don't we try it in the tricuspid, see if it works? And we tried in the pig, in the tricuspid, and the navigate valve worked beautiful. And then we kept the pig alive, and then the necrotic pig looked good. So that's how all the process started. And then we did the first in man, and we went to FDA and said that we want to do it in the United States, and we could do it. So the field is evolving very, very fast. Inferior vena cava valves are becoming possible. Of course, the appendage closure, appendage-related things. There are several new heart failure technologies. So interventional heart failure is a brand new subspecialty that is going to take off, because the encoder device, even the carillon device that we used initially for mitral regurgitation, now we are using in the Empower trial for mild mitral regurgitation. So mild, moderate, and severe, all mitral regurgitation, we are going to use a carillon device in the coronary sinus. So the expansion of technologies is one part. The second is the indications. So we are going to move to moderate aortic stenosis. We are going to move to early TAVR. We are going to move to moderate mitral valve regurgitation, moderate tricuspid regurgitation. So in your career, you are going to see treatment at an appropriate time, appropriate stage, prevention of the worst valvular heart disease in the future. So this is all becoming a reality. And most important of all is the imaging, because I tell people that the way structural intervention works is that just like surgery, you need to have good exposure. In structural intervention, you need to have good imaging to be able to see what exactly you're doing. And then all the instruments are such that the movement or precision of the instrument is already there. It is just that we cannot see as precisely as a surgeon can see with their loops. So if you are able to see the structures precisely and carry out your maneuvering precisely, then there is no reason why you cannot do the same thing that you can do with the open procedure. So I think structural intervention is an incredibly fast-growing field, but at the same time, very exciting, very interesting. And again, one thing to keep in mind, that you should do things that you enjoy, not which has the most amount of scope. Because I always tell people that at the top, you always have scope. So even if it looks like there is not enough scope, there is not enough job opportunity, you will always have job opportunity and scope if you reach the top. So if you are passionate and if you are hardworking, you will definitely get there. So this is a new era that I think you will enjoy.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Kapadia, for your valuable insights about the structural field in terms of the bird's eye view and what we should be excited for as we look towards the horizon. I hope you notice the sparkle in our eyes as the budding structural fellows are looking up to you. And Simrat, we're also looking at you, by the way. Definitely consider it. Keep echo as a hobby. But hearing your experiences as becoming an expert in cardiac trauma and your passion for echo, I could see how you became a master in the structural domain. And thanks to trailblazers such as yourself, interventional cardiology as a field has grown exponentially over the last 10 years when it comes to expanding technologies, as we just heard about, to address lots of different pathology and even in the prevention space, which is really cool. There are some who avoid pursuing interventional cardiology as a career due to concerns about radiation exposure and occupational hazards of chronically wearing heavy lead, injecting manifolds, all sorts of, things that people do worry about. What are your thoughts about this? And are there new technologies on the horizon to help the operators in terms of physical constraints placed on interventionalists? What are your thoughts?
No, I agree with you. I think, to be honest, I feel bad because I have some of this ill effects of wearing a lead for a long time, because the back bothers you, the neck can have problems, and at the same time the radiation is not a trivial thing. So if you look at when we started the cath lab, as 2008, when we wanted to build a new heart center, one of the things that became very clear is that every year when we check our radiation batches were above the limit. So not a little bit above the limit. We were supposed to have 4,000 rams and we were 11,000, 15,000. So they were saying that, you have to stop doing the procedures, which we were not going to stop. But then we have to sign papers to say that this is too much radiation. We understand and we accept the risks. So this was such a trauma to everyday life that, this is, how can you live like this? And then the new data came out about the right-sided brain meningiomas and gliomas that happen from radiation. So all of this is real. So you have to, first and foremost, you have to decrease the radiation. So you have to wear proper lead, eye protection. I always wear a lead cap. I also wear the proper lead. In our cath lab, we changed a lot of things. So our radiation, we wrote several papers about this to say that how you can decrease the radiation. So you remember that the detector detects 120 nanograys typically. So it tries to increase the radiation until it gets 120 nanograys on the top. So we set it at 80 nanograys, for example. Very important that we are also reducing the cine runs. We try to come down. So all the precautions that you can take for radiation, you should take. But despite that, if the radiation is there, then there are new technologies. There are several new technologies. So there's a zero lead, zero weight lead. There is a very nice lead shield that comes out of the detectors, such that it encases the entire radiation, such that there is no scatter. All of these things are coming, but there is also going to be an ultrasound guided intervention, right? So there is like AFib ablation. Right now in our Fairview Hospital, we are doing AFib ablation without radiation. So there's zero radiation. They don't even radiate once. For transeptal puncture, going through veins, all of these things can be done with echo. So ultimately, I'm hoping that we will have less and less radiation, more and more echo-guided procedures, so that we don't have to radiate ourselves. For the young people, I think if you use proper protection, you should not be scared, but at the same time, you should be super careful about radiation. Don't put your hands in the radiation. Don't do things like that. And do not take it lightly either, because I think one of the challenges is that you do not see the radiation. So, I tell people there's like a nuclear bomb there. So be careful that don't go in the cath lab thinking that not a big deal, because it is a big deal. And the lead, wearing the lead again, doing proper exercises and things for the back and all those things are super important. So all of the interventional cardiologists and my friends who work like me and others for 20, 30 years, they all develop back problem. They all develop neck problems. So it is not a minor consideration, but hopefully in the future, we will have better devices to help ourselves.
That's very interesting perspective and important safety considerations for us young CardioNerds. On a different note, Dr. Kapadia, you've been a mentor to several medical students, residents, fellows, and earlier career faculty. And I have been You have been a mentor to several medical students, residents, fellows, and early career faculty. And I have been lucky to see the great value you place on mentorship and development. I'm reminded of one of your mentees in particular, Dr. Shikhar Agarwal, who wrote a JACC editorial on Best Mentor, which outlines important attributes of a good mentor. This was a particularly special article since he was referring to his relationship with you. Did you have a particular mentor in your career who stands out, who's inspired you and supported you to become who you are today?
I think so. And I think Dr. Topal is definitely one of them. Dr. Tushu is also, Dr. Tushu is very, very important to me, because not only just medical mentorship, but also life mentorship and guiding me through all the different opportunities that you have, all the hurdles you have. And then also everybody, to be honest with you, Dr. Nissen, Dr. Ellis, for example, all of them have contributed tremendously to the different areas of mentorship. Of course, you cannot forget, your parents and your friends, because the colleagues that you work with are equally important, right? All the fellows that were interventional fellows with me, that's why I wrote the textbook. I wrote the textbook because all the fellows that were in our room, I called them. So one went to Argentina, one, and he's the director of cath lab there. One went to Canada in Montreal Heart, director of cath lab there. Marco Roffi went to Switzerland and director of cath lab there. And Derek Chu went to Australia. So I said, let us make a global textbook of cardiology where we will all be editors and we can write a textbook. This is just purely for fun. And actually, I called Dr. Topol to say that, I want to write a textbook. Of course, he writes the textbook that everybody reads. So I said that, Dr. Topol, he said, yeah, you should write it. I said, it's not to compete or anything. It's just because of fun, for fun, like how you're doing CardioNerd with all your friends. So the idea was that all these different editors would be a great fun. So we wrote a textbook. And so I called it a global textbook of cardiology because they were all in different continents. And so learning from the colleagues is not trivial. And finally, I think learning is a long process, and mentors outside of your institution are also important. So all the different people that I work with, I learn something from them all the time, and I never compete with anybody. So this is another good thing to do, is to collaborate with all different institutions, all different people. So that is the best way of learning, because then people trust you, people will share with you, and you can learn more. So mentorship is a giving and taking. If you like whatever you like the most, you give it to your mentee, then you are a good mentor. And if you are a mentee, if you ask for anything that the mentor likes the most, if there's the best paper he's going to write, then he should make you the first author. So that is the best test to say that this mentor is really a mentor that you would want to have.
Yeah, Dr. Kapadia, I'm taking a couple of takeaways from that answer. One is that your particular interventional fellowship class was an amazing class. So I'm going to have to try to figure out what you guys did. But also that you had several mentors in different domains, and you were just a sponge to take, whatever lessons you could from people around you. And I think that's something that we can all emulate. Now, turning to an area that is really important to me personally, despite all of the myriad responsibilities that you have in your day-to-day, you continue to be actively involved in fellow and resident education. And not surprisingly, you've received several recognitions, including Best Teacher awards by the general and interventional fellows alike. But despite your long list of commitments as the chief, you still take out time to teach us in every domain: the cath lab, the OR, the clinic, angio conference, and more. And I have to give a special shout out to the heart dissection that you led us through that morning when, you got the reps to bring these pig hearts, and you walked us through your own particular way of dissecting a pig heart and correlating it with echo and angio and CT. And it was just honestly probably one of the best visuals I had about understanding the 3D structure. So, but that was, I think we started at 6:00 in the morning before, one of your TAVR days in the OR. So that's a commitment. What drives you to spend so much of your time and energy for learners?
No, the most important is that I find myself extremely lucky. I tell everybody every day that I'm very grateful. And the reason I'm grateful is because I have the opportunity to work at Cleveland Clinic. Cleveland Clinic, as you know, is one of the best places to work. But we have the opportunity. Many people do not have this opportunity. So if you are going to have this opportunity, we are going to use it to the maximum. So I say that, we have everything except for time. So I want to make most use of the time that we have. Young people, young cardiologists. So the only way to multiply your enthusiasm, multiply what you do, is to instill something good to the young people. Because if you train 10 people, 10 staff, and if all out of 10, at least 3 of them do what you want to do, but you cannot do because of lack of time, you will be able to do all those things that you could not do because of restriction in time. So the motivation is to have fun, see people enjoy, people share the excitement that you have, because otherwise you will become dull. I don't know, I enjoy it so much. It's relaxing. And more than anything else, it is also, fulfilling, because when you go out or you go to the conferences, there's so many fellows come to you and say that they did this, that, something new. And that to me, it's not that what we taught them, but what they did beyond we taught them is the most fun part to me. So I think the excitement of doing something new, learning from young people, learning their ways of doing things, like learning from you that how to disseminate knowledge, how to do all these CardioNerd activities that you do. That's what I was asking you. And then how do you find time to do it? It's the same concept, that if it is your passion, you always find time and you enjoy it. You don't feel tired after what you did. You rather will feel that, my God, this was, I wish I could do more. So this is the same concept that all of us enjoy what we do. So keep doing that.
That's great, Dr. Kapadia. Kind of along the same lines and thinking about the future generations of interventional cardiologists, we, as a program, we're lucky to have a diverse interventional cardiology program where 3 out of the 8 fellows are women. As a leader in interventional cardiology, what measures do you think we could take to sort of close this gap even further?
No, I think you are absolutely right that we need to work very focused and in a very collaborative way. Most important thing is to encourage medical students to join cardiology. So I think this is one of the most important things. And then second is, when we select the residents to become fellows, again, keep an eye out to have a diverse fellowship with more, equal number of men, women. And then finally, a lot of myths about what can be done by men and women. So this has to be overcome. Like as you said, that, some people are worried about the radiation, some people worried about the lifestyle, some people are worried. But all of those things can be adjusted to what you want to do, depending on your own passion. So it is not necessary that everybody has to do the same thing. Everybody has to work 18 hours in the cath lab a day to become feel good about themselves. You can do a focused interventions that you love, you enjoy, you help people. And at the same time, you can enjoy life. You can have a very good family life also. So this is all possible if we plan in a way that we plan our life in an organized manner. Then this is possible. So what we are trying to do at least at Cleveland Clinic is to learn from each other, set up some examples that how we can have diversity in our program, and we do not compromise the health, happiness, and productivity of our department. And we have, to be honest with you, we have increased our productivity by increasing diversity. We attract more talent to join us when we have opportunities that are available for all different people. So this is growing. It is growing with diversity is our our focus. And this is the way we can potentially do even better. I know we finished a little early.
Well, so are we so am I
Simrat, did you want to ask your question? No.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Kapadia kind of answered. It was
Okay.
of balancing work with family life. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'll go ahead. So, Dr. Kapadia, as we said earlier, your perspective on future directions in the field has really energized Amit, Zarina, Simrat, and myself. And your passion for medical education is something that resonates with us profoundly at CardioNerds. As we start winding down this amazing evening, we just have to ask you, what makes your heart flutter most about interventional cardiology or life in general?
I enjoy to work with the young fellows and also spend time with my kids, because this is one thing that I get to do less. So the most important thing, I also, of course, enjoy everything I do, but I also, wish that I have a little bit more time with the family and the kids. So when I do, and I also do research with the kids, their science projects and all these things also excites me. So we do all kinds of crazy science projects. So these are all fun things that I do. And I also enjoy to astronomy. So astronomy is my passion. So hopefully when I retire, I'll do some astronomy and astrophysics very soon when time comes.
Dr. Kapadia, I gave my children a Swan-Ganz catheter and like a balloon pump, and they came to school with syringes and everything like that. And I got a note from the teacher, please do not send medical equipment with your children. So I tried it.
I have a good story. So I go to the school to teach them how to do TAVR and how to put stents in the big heart. So I take all the equipment, including the TAVR valves and these balloon stents, wires, and 6th and 7th grade students. We work together, and in the coronary artery, we put a stent, and then I give them the stents and the balloons and the wires. So the clean ones. So the parents call me and say that, my God, they all want to be doctors. What are you trying to do to them? Because these are all the, kids that probably would become business people or something more exciting than just being a doctor. And I brought these 2nd and 3rd grade kids to our echo lab, not 1st and 2nd grade. And I said that, let me show you how the heart is beating. Let me show you your heart. So the kids started crying. They thought that I was going to cut them or something because it was dark. And I said that, let me show you how your heart is beating. So they started crying. I said, my God, what happened? Why are you crying? They said, we don't want to be hurt. And I said, no. I'm not going to hurt. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to hurt you. And so my son came out and he says, okay, you can show my heart. And so he says, Daddy would not hurt me. So that's how he felt confident that I won't hurt him. So anyway, the kids are the fun part.
So the 6th grade class, they're all going to become doctors. The 1st grade class are all going to do something else.
That's good.
No, but I'm glad you mentioned that, Dr. Kapadia, because, of course, we don't have time to talk about everything. But when Simrat and Zarina and I, we went to Table 45 to kind of plan this discussion, and the topic of your relationship with your kids came up. And, Zarina was saying, she's like, whenever he starts talking about his kids, he has this, sparkle in his eyes. It's a very special relationship.
Yeah, I loved hearing your story about dropping him off to Yale.
I know. I felt sorry, but it was okay. He's coming back tomorrow night for the first time from college. So you will all get there. When the kids go to college, it is tough. I'm sure when you went to college, your parents, and by the way, he's enjoying it just like you guys did. It's the parents who feel it, that I'm waiting for him to come back. He's not waiting to come. So,
well, truly, this has been such a treat. Thank you to each of you so much. And I want to first thank Simrat. Simrat, we first worked together when you were my resident in J31, our beloved CICU. And from day one, it was so clear that you were a rising star. And when you were applying here, we were recruiting. I have to say, I was your biggest champion and cheerleader. And it's such a great thing that we get to learn alongside each other now. And Zarina, your leadership along the series and support has been incredible. And I think is one of the main reasons why the series has really taken off. And I'm excited to learn everything that we learned from this and, everything that you're doing to study it. And finally, Dr. Kapadia, having you on CardioNerds is just such an honor for us. I said it earlier, but I mean it. This is months overdue, and I hope this is not the last time. And, for everyone who works with you and learns from you, you lead by example. You set a very high bar for us to aspire to, but at the same time, you support us and encourage us and mentor us so we can hopefully get there someday. So thank you so much for not just being here, but being a mentor to all of us.
Pleasure is all mine. Pleasure is all mine. And keep up this great work. We are very proud of this. Simrat and Zarina, thank you so much for doing this great work. And keep up, Dan and Amit, keep this up. This is just incredible work. Thanks.